Did IVIG save my life? Hey guys, welcome back to Pandas, my dog and me. So today I'm going to be doing a video on my story. If you've watched me before, you probably know that I've took a 3-year break. That was for multiple reasons. I became really busy with school and college now, and my health did decline with my OCD a bit, and other things I just had to prioritise. But it's okay because I'm back now. I'm hopefully going to be doing regular YouTube videos, but this is my first one. Let's just do baby steps. I might be posting once a year or once a month or once a week. We're just going to work it out as we go along. If you've got any video suggestions, please comment them down below because that would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, let's get straight on with this video. My onset of PANDAS happened when I was just 4 years old. I caught a case of chickenpox, and then that was followed by 2 nasty cases of tonsillitis. Both times that was treated by antibiotics. We thought everything would go back to normal, and it did. Or did it? My mum noticed that whenever I got an infection, my body didn't seem to cope with it very well, and my behaviour instantly changed, like overnight. I vividly remember when the first case of tonsillitis, I was on holiday and I was laying by the pool thinking, oh my gosh, this really isn't like me. I should be in the water playing with my sister. But I just didn't have this capability to physically... I was like frozen in time. I couldn't do anything about it, and I just felt lost and confused. Before the onset, I was a chatty, positive little girl. I hit all my milestones, and there was never any concern by any of my doctors. But then after the onset, everything seemed to change. I used to love to socialise, but then I wanted to lock myself away and hide away from the world. I weren't me. We didn't know this at the time, but every time I caught an infection, particularly strep infections, I wouldn't be able to fight off the infection. So basically, my antibodies, part of my immune system, that are supposed to attack the infection, attacked my brain instead. This led to things like sensory issues, OCD, toileting, compulsions, and separation anxiety were my first few symptoms. One of the main symptoms I had early on was probably separation anxiety. I became really scared to separate with my mum, and I'd cry and send her loads of text messages and loads of videos. And at the time I was only like 6 or 7. It wasn't normal behaviour for a child.
I'm missing Mum. I'm missing Mum on the bell. Okay, but I'm alright. I'm really missing this.
I also developed a urinary frequency, so I'd sit on the toilet for hours and hours and hours saying, oh my god, I'm not done, I'm not done, I'm not done. And even when I did get off and go and play and whatever, I'd have to run back straight away. But my bladder was completely empty. There was nothing left to come out of me. After 4 years of suffering, I was finally diagnosed with a specialist in Darlington. It was weird because I was sat in the appointment and somebody actually believed what was going on. My mum cried. I remember her crying because she was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going mad. Someone knows what's up with my child. And I was so relieved after that day because I was like, I'm going to get better. Although everything then got worse. I was put on long-term antibiotics to help with the inflammation, but during that time I developed an eating disorder. It was the hardest thing, it was the hardest thing I'd ever have to deal with in my entire life. I'd pick at my food looking for imperfections and black bits, and I was scared to consume them, thinking that something would go wrong if I did, and I remember, well, why is this so difficult to talk about? I'm over it now, but I remember laying in bed most nights thinking, I'm not gonna wake up in the morning because I was so scared that I'd consumed something that had hurt me. Need a minute.
Calling minutes.
I lost about 25% of my body weight within 4 months and would pick apart every single meal to look for imperfections and black bits. And the process of that took about 2 hours. If I weren't picking apart my food, I was sat on the toilet. If I weren't sat on the toilet, I was spending hours and hours washing my hands. I would wash my hands until they bleed. I was so scared that I'd be contaminated and get an infection, because at that point I knew what infections did to me, but I was already so ill. The compulsion around washing my hands was most certainly OCD, and I had suffered with compulsions and OCD before, but never quite to this extreme. This would literally control my day, every day. Due to the OCD, I was mentally exhausted, and due to the low calorie intake, I struggled to do things like climb up the stairs. I was just fading away. I was at breaking point. Things had to change. I was also on long-term steroids after a case at the dentist. They put fluoride paste on my teeth, and that was to stop my teeth from going like orange and to correct the enamel. Because I was on orange and red medication, my teeth were literally all yellowy orange. It was disgusting. So they tried correcting it with the fluoride paste, but all that did was send me into a 6-month flare, so I was on steroids to help with that. In May 2018, I was given IVIG. IVIG stands for intravenous immunoglobulins, and basically what that does is it gives you working antibodies to dilute the faulty antibodies. This was a 2-day infusion, and oh my god, I've never been so scared in my life. I hated it, but am I glad I did it? Yes, because the effects, they have lasted. I am no longer scared to eat food, and it was a work in progress. It was probably a year before I had fully recovered from my eating disorder, but oh my god, without that IVIG, would I have been able to do that? No, I don't think so. Did IVIG save my life? Yes. Yes, it did. I was wasting away. I was getting better, but there was still a long way to go. I had my second round of IVIG in the November of 2018, and these impacts were massive. My OCD around hand washing really increased, which was truly amazing, because it was controlling. It was 75% of my day was spent hand washing, and my hands were red raw and they were peeling, and they were so cut up, and it really helped with the OCD, that second one, and also with separation anxiety, because I was able to part with my mum for small distances and small amounts of time without being scared that something bad would happen. There was hope for me yet. Because the IVIG kept getting declined, the NHS agreed to give me IV steroids. Steroids had proven to work with me before, so we thought a stronger dose of IV steroids would help. However, this was an extremely traumatic experience. I seem to think, looking back on the incident, I seem to think that the IV steroids caused a reaction in my body and made me go psychotic, because the first day it wasn't easy, but I did manage it. The second day I was running around the hospital like a mad woman. I had security guards chasing after me, and in the end we decided to call the day off because I was making myself ill. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who I was. I thought everyone was out to get me. I was really unwell that day.
Evie, we can't go. Come on, we need some help. Come. Evie. Evie. Let's go back onto the ward, please. No, Evie.
I need to get it.
No,
I need to get it.
we're not going in the lift. Evie, please, stop it. Evie,
No.
stop.
But the third day I got up, I did my second day. There was supposed to be 3 days. That was supposed to be my last day. And then the third day, I did manage that. If you do want to watch full video on my IV steroids treatment, there is a video on my channel. I'll link it down below for you. In the summer of 2019, because the funding had got pulled for my third round of IVIG, we decided to fundraise. Fundraising money meant that I could go over to America and have a 2-day course of IVIG. Now, this possibly wasn't as life-changing, however, did it work? Yes, it most certainly did. I was able to separate from my mum without being so worried, and it significantly impacted my school experience. I got declined from a mainstream secondary school, so I had to go to a special needs secondary school. And honestly, I was so ill to start off with, but soon after my IVIG, things did start to look up. I was going to be getting better. I also had, before the IVIG, literally driving on the way there, we counted all these green cars because I was absolutely obsessed with the colour green. My full wardrobe was like green things. Anyway, so we were on the way there and we were counting all these green cars, and then straight after my IVIG, I thought, yeah, they're just green cars. I didn't have this obsession with them anymore, which was really weird because literally only 3 hours before I was obsessed with the colour green, and then afterwards I was like, yeah, it's green. And speaking to other pandas parents, other people also have an obsession with green. So what's so special about the colour green? Comment down below if you know. So lockdown hit in March 2020. That was actually I benefited from lockdown because it gave me time to focus on myself and being happy and actually getting my life back together. I was able to do things that I had missed out on. I was able to have a childhood still. Also that year I had an MRI brain scan. This was to check for inflammation in the brain. However, it did not pick up that. It picked up fluid in my mastoid cells. And basically the mastoid cells are supposed to be full of air, and this is possibly causing earache, sore throats, nosebleeds, and like pressure building up in my head, so headaches. This is still an ongoing problem for me, so hopefully we're going to go through the ENT route in the near future. I also had a CT scan that summer, and that picked up exactly the same thing but nothing else, so thankfully my brain was functioning fine. I also had, during the lockdown years, I had bladder problems. Basically, after so many years of going to the toilet and trying to open my bladder thousands of times a day, it had caused a faulty bladder. Basically, water or urine was still being left inside my bladder and not draining out properly, and that basically meant that I kept getting urine infections. Now that led to serious pain, some pain, even like one particularly bad day led to a trip to my GP, and they said, right Evie, you've got to go to A&E, it could be appendicitis. Now thankfully it weren't, but it was still good because I got referred for biofeedback training. Biofeedback training had completely resolved the problem after 6 months of doing it. Basically I had to train my bladder to work again and my pelvic floor muscles. Anyway, if you want a separate video on that, you can comment that down below because it was extremely beneficial. But there's so many more details that I could go into about that. OCD became an extremely big problem for me, particularly around bedtime. I was consumed and still am consumed by rituals to keep me safe. And every time I eliminate one, me and Mum work together to eliminate one step by step, gradually. And as soon as I eliminate one, literally within 2 weeks, I've replaced it. I don't know how to solve that one. Times in my life it's felt like the world was against me, but I'm here to show that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You can get through this no matter how hard it is. I believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself. So get up and take the day by storm, because I know you can. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one, hopefully soon. Bye guys. Bye for now. This is my TikTok video, and you'll watch my YouTube video. Anyway, so now you're going to see behind the scenes footage. Oh my god, I'm really not used to this.